Thank you so much, Eugenia, for being on the show today. I am so excited to have you in the Meadow, so welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. This is going to be a great chat.
I cannot wait. Okay, so many questions. I've been reading all about you and the work that you've been doing over the past, couple decades. And just to begin, I am a sucker for just hearing people's story of how they fell into it. Kind of a little bit about your past. I know that you immigrated from Russia at a really young age and learned English at 19. So how did you stumble into the world of entrepreneurship? And yeah, I would love to hear just a little bit about your story about how you started.
Well, I do everything backwards, so I didn't necessarily start from trying to figure myself out and then went into learning something more and more. I kind of was born with a lot of understanding already, and then I just jumped right into it. As far as how I became entrepreneur, I don't know anything else. Like I've never had a job, so entrepreneurship was just a way of life where I got to do what I wanted, and for me, that's really important. So I never like to have somebody tell me what to do. So it was from beginning, I kind of felt like I'm not suited for any kind of a career where I have to have a boss because I have to be my own boss. So with that comes a lot of responsibility, and you have to show up and you have to be proactive, because if you are the boss of you, well, then you need to actually be the boss of you. It doesn't mean that you do nothing. It means you actually, in a sense, have to do more, but more aligned. So as to how I fell into it, it's started by me being born clairvoyant. So that means that I could see timelines, possibilities. I could see people's energy fields. I could know what's their purpose and what they meant to do. I can see the blocks that are in the way of that. That just kind of came from scratch. Like I was born this way. So by the time I was 2 years old, I was already trying to give advice through pictures. By the time I was 14, I had paid clients and a full paid practice because I was just talking about what I do. People were coming to me. I was helping them. And a lot of them were entrepreneurs. Now, at that time, I had no idea what that word means or whatever, but let's just say they were business owners. Like they had something that was their own business, not necessarily having a job. So most of them would naturally get advice from me related to whatever questions they asked. And since they were business owners, questions were related to business. So then I would get stuff like, oh, thank you so much, Eugenia, for helping me with my market positioning. I adjusted that and that sells so much better. Or, oh, thank you so much for the advice on the proposal I wrote. Like I pitched it this way and the sales went through when the client bought. Like that was so great. So I'm like, huh? I'm doing what? Market positioning, messaging? Like what? I didn't know what those things were. So over the years, of course, I learned, and I have like full business education now. But back then, I didn't know any of it. I was just using what my natural superpower was, which is seeing to the root of the problem as to what you meant to do and what's in the way of that. Like that's my specialty. Like I see the ultimate timeline, what it could be, and I see where somebody is now and what's in the way. So then, depending on if the person wants to get to the destination I'm seeing, we start to work on how to clean it up. And business is just what I've done my whole life. And I've always been able to generate income doing it because I don't hide my power. I don't hide my confidence. I know things and I'm very comfortable not fitting in. I'm very comfortable being different. And I find that a lot of people worry so much and spend so much energy about what would other people think and how would it look and whatever. That never really concerned me because I kind of cared more about my own standards. So as long as I matched like what I believe I should be, and I didn't skimp on it or like didn't do half-ass job or whatever, I was fine, whatever somebody else would think. So that naturally brought me to being in alignment much more, being very proactive. I don't procrastinate. And I was able to make income from my soul work, essentially. So considering that a lot of the people I associate myself with are also some spiritual types, right? Because as a clairvoyant, of course, I attract energy healers and vibrational medicine people and so on. Like most of my coaches that I work with are spiritual coaches, mentors, personal transformation experts. They seem to have difficulty generating income through this magical thing that they do. When to me, that was so easy. So that's where it got me to like, okay, maybe I should start to shift into being more of a business coach because obviously I know this and this is such a hard thing for them. So over the years, it just shifted from finding the internal adjustments need to be made to step into one's confidence and the ultimate timeline into more like and generate income through doing that. That's what I call soul design. Like every soul design, like every person designs a certain way, their soul designs them. There is a profit potential. So what I do is I decode their profit potential, as in how you meant to generate income through your soul work. So that instead of feeling like, oh, I need to like go get certification or something, and then I will be finally qualified to do this thing, I kind of look at it more like, okay, you already came in with something. That something is already there that fully qualifies you. Now let's just figure out how to package it, how to market position it, and what work you need to do to make that step forward into the world so you can get paid for that. And no certifications required. The rest is just like, well, yeah, you want to be an educated person, so you want to understand certain things, great, but it's not actually needed if you want to generate income from your soul work.
Wow, that is so, so incredible. I am just so thrilled about this conversation because everything that you said right now is just intuitively, truly like what my brand is all based on, is really in a lot less, like more thoughtful words, but like just knowing that every single person in this world has something specifically designed for them, that's meant for them, that's going to feel effortless whenever they align themselves to it in the right way. So I think that's a perfect segue into talking more about like masculine and feminine energies, because I've talked a lot about that on my platform, but reading about how you express that, I think that it is so incredible how you do need to have both. And I think people like you can kind of show like how you can really use that. So what do you think some of the misconceptions are, or how people can get trapped in the masculine or in the feminine, which I know you touched on a little bit, but if you had any more thoughts on that.
Well, at first we need to define what masculine and feminine is. So I call it an electric and magnetic. So electric, kind of like how the electricity goes through a wire, that's masculine. It's directional. So any step by step, any sequence, any protocol, any methodology, that's structural. So business is pretty much all structure. So it's all electric or masculine. Marketing, though, that's another side. That's the feminine side. So the feminine energy, it's kind of more creative, it's flowing, it's intuitive. It doesn't actually have a structure. It kind of has more like the magical things that align and then boom, something happens and like you just arrive at the destination. So if we apply that onto business, that would be creative writing. It would be showing up in the right energy embodied in you. It would be like listening to the universal impulses to show up in the right time. Like know that, let's say, if you want to pitch somebody to be on their event, do it now versus like tomorrow. Or with this client, if you're getting some intuitive thing to say it, even if it doesn't look logically like it makes sense, because trust me, it will make sense because it's aligned and so on. So that's the feminine side. And myself being a very practical person, like I'm from Soviet Union, so like we're very practical, like we know how to make life happen. We're survival type, very like capable of making life happen. But at the same time, I'm clairvoyant, so I connect to multidimensional reality. Most of my friends my whole life were non-physical beings. I actually don't have that many physical friends. So I'm one of those people that would be talking to the universe a lot. Like my life consists of at least 2 hours a day when I go in meditation space. I walk by the ocean a couple hours a day when I also meditate. Like I do a lot of out there things. And I call that quantum creation versus the linear creation. So because I combine those two within me and they coexist very nicely, and I think that's part of what makes my business successful, I started to teach my clients to do that too. So that's my conscious future methodology. Like, how do you create your future consciously? So it doesn't just happen to you, but you literally make it happen. But make it happen always gets mistranslated. That's the misconception part, that we can do it like on our own steam. Like we're going to go and make it happen. And there's got to be a balance. It's true that there's some things you got to commit doing and then follow through. Because if you don't, you cannot trust yourself. And if you cannot trust yourself, nobody's going to trust you either. So this whole confidence thing that everybody wants, like, how do I get this confidence? Like, wow, Eugenia, you're so confident. Well, I'm simply confident because I followed through on what I decided. And I do that consistently. So I can trust myself 100%. So that's really where you get your confidence, is you follow through on whatever it is you internally decided. That's the part where it's a correct application of your willpower. Like you're going to do whatever you said you're going to do. But that doesn't mean burnout. It doesn't mean push, 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 or force, force, force. It just means do whatever you decided. So if you decided you're going to write 5 emails, well, then you need to write 5 emails. But give yourself a window this week. So not maybe today, right now, when the energy doesn't flow. Maybe energy flows tomorrow. But if you now, by the end of the week, and the week ends in like 1 hour, and your emails are still not written, well, then you better sit your butt in the chair and write them. because that's how you create consistency. That's the masculine side, the electrical side. The other side, though, is when you need to catch the flow of like the currents of the universe. This is where you trust the inspiration, you trust the flow. And we all kind of have our own way in the soul design, which you more one way or more another way. So like, let's say if you're the type that kind of inspiration driven, like when you're inspired, then like magic happens. You can write 10 emails, you can make like 5 videos and they're totally awesome. But if you like have to do it and inspiration isn't there, you can do it like for a whole day and nothing will come out of you, or it will be kind of crappy. So if you're that type, well, then you have to respect the feminine side where the inspiration strikes. And respect that, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're hanging out somewhere, if your kid's there, if you're cooking dinner, you got to step away and say, I'll be back in half an hour. Dinner is delayed because I got to go in my office and make a video. Like you need to prioritize that when the inspiration flow, then you got to do that, because that's the only way when your energy comes out 100%, right? So balancing the two things, the masculine strategy when you do what you need to get done, and the feminine strategy when you're in the flow and things kind of make sense, that's together what creates alignment, not just one or the other. And the misconception is that if you do business, you got to do it the patriarchal masculine way only, because that's how business has been done in a corporate sense. But then you get the other extreme. Well, I don't want to do it this way, right? Like how many people have allergic reaction to that? Like, I don't want to do this. That's too rigid. I want to just be inspired and be in the flow. Well, yeah, but then if you meditate all day and just tune in and talk to the universe, that's not going to result in clients or money. So you still do need the structure, but you need to find your balance between the two sides.
So incredible. It gives me chills. Every single thing that you're saying is just such little nuggets of gold. And you literally just answered the three questions I wrote down here, which is so beautiful. But I think that let's circle into beliefs, because I think for me, like beliefs are absolutely everything, and specifically with women and female entrepreneurship. Like, what are some beliefs that you think might get in the way and cause women to sabotage themselves? Like even when you know you've been on the journey for a long time and you've mastered how to follow your intuition and take that action and have that balance of masculine and feminine. I feel like a lot of the times we reach an upper limit and then our ego side starts to pour in these ideas and beliefs. So just to get your thoughts on that, or if like you've seen certain situations like that where you've seen that happen and how to get out of it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's an upper limit. I think it's more like every time you up level, you're gonna hit something that you cannot take with you to the next step. So if you think of it this way, then it's easier. Instead of like, oh, I'm hitting some big belief, whatever. It's just like,
So good,
okay,
yeah.
I'm trying to get to the next level of something, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna hit something that's going to be the voice that you must hear but not listen. Like you must not follow through, must not believe it. Because if you believe it, then you cannot go to where you want to go. So for example, at the very beginning, it's usually stuff like, who am I to? Who am I to charge this much? Who am I to say I'm that great at it? What will people think? Well, that goes back to the tribal programming and the conditioning of you have to belong to the tribe, you have to be like everybody else, don't stick out because that makes you selfish and so on. Well, if you follow that belief, you cannot lead. And if you cannot lead, then what are you doing? Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Right? You in a sense, are meant to be somebody who's ahead of the ones you're trying to have as clients, right? So that means you kind of have to lead. And to lead, you have to not worry about what other people think. You have to claim that your power comes from not because you're egotistical and you just randomly saying some number or higher pricing or whatever, but that you're in integrity knowing that there is a frequency connected to it. Because one's value does not come from your education, let's say, or like whatever it is that you think you can prove, like why they should listen to you. It comes from the energetics of, are you embodying your power? So the ratio, like how much of your power, or if you want to replace the word power, could be like soul brilliance or whatever it is that we would like to say that, but like how much of your true essence you embody, that's why you can charge more. So I embody so much of it. That's why I have very much, premium pricing. And that's what I teach my clients as well, is that when they come to me and they're in this phase of like, who am I to, like to charge, let's say $10,000 for my program. And right now I'm selling $100 sessions. And literally in 1 or 2 calls, we shift that into, oh my God, when they're in my presence, I can tell them a joke and their field changes. It doesn't even matter if we talk about something important, but they like relax in my presence. They can trust me. They feel like their energy is more self-loving. They're receiving more abundance just being around me and whatever else that your thing is. That if you more masterful at holding that and not wobbling, that's why you can charge higher prices. So that's what then creates this amazing quantum leaps, right? Like my clients sometimes come to me with like, I'm selling $100 sessions or, $300 like one-off appointments. And then we create in integrity a higher level program, not just slapping a zero to whatever they were doing and calling it a premium, like that's out of integrity, but actually like putting the essence of who they are, packaging that, market positioning that so that it is properly represented to the right people and finding the words to clearly articulate the value of their work. Now, from that place, that program could be 7,000, 10,000, 15,000. And then they go out, they talk about it, and people come to them and want to buy. And they're like amazed. How is it possible? Like 4 weeks ago, I was just selling $100 sessions and I could barely sell that. And now I can sell $10,000 program. It's like, yeah, because you owned your power. So that's the kind of the hitting the belief of who am I too. When that's resolved, then you become the one who, yeah, I am, because of course I'm worth it. And then in every level of up level, you're gonna hit something. Somebody who's at 6 figures, they now want to scale up, they're gonna hit, I can't work any harder. I'm already stressed, I'm tired, I'm working so hard. Well, that's because hustle is not scalable. So now you're at the place where you grew, but you want to scale. Well, you can't replicate what is messy. So we need to clean it up, readjust, streamline your delivery and everything else. That cleans up this whole overwhelm of like, how do I, without like working harder? You don't have to work harder. In fact, the further up you go in income, the easier it becomes because your business becomes simpler, not more complicated. It's only more complicated at the beginning because you're trying to figure yourself out. That's why you would have 200 freebies and new program every month and whatever, webinar every time. I don't do that at all, and neither do my clients. We have one offer. That's it. One free gift. That's it. Everything else is taken care of by correct energetics, correct backend sequences, and correct words that we tell to our clients. And everything is higher end because if you're going to go deeper with your clients and make big transformation, you should get paid for that.
Wow, the way that you just were able to express what a quantum leap and a quantum shift is in such an eloquent way is so incredible. I'm going to listen back to that so many times because I think that the word quantum shift, the word quantum leap is so so nuanced and confusing and people don't really understand what that means. But I think what you were just touching on is I kind of want to pivot into the idea of like worthiness, right? And thinking that like, oh, okay, so if I'm charging $100 here, if I want to charge $10,000, I have to work so hard and prove myself so worthy to prove that I'm worthy of this income level before I can receive it. And I think what you're saying right now is that like it's not that. It's a shift in frequency and it's a shift in that energetic belief system. So I don't know if you have
any...
shift
in what you value.
Yeah.
That's where the shift is. Because when you said, I'm charging $100 for this appointment, what you're valuing is time. When you say I'm charging $10,000 for spending 3 months with me in this program, what you're valuing is frequency and the container in which that frequency lives, not time. You can have one call with somebody and charge $10,000 if you really can hold the frequency that's going to change their life that much. So it's more about how much change are they going to experience and what frequency are you able to hold. But when you value time, then you're a commodity. Now it's like comparing, kind of like accountant. Well, this accountant charges this much for doing my taxes and this much. So I'm going to go with this one versus that one. You never want to be looked at as commodity, which means why would you pick, let's say, a different tax accountant if one maybe even charged more because you like that person, because that person maybe was more thoughtful, because maybe that person had a longer interview with you and really made you feel like they cared about your business, let's say, if it's a business accountant. Okay, so now you may be okay to pay that person much more money than the cheaper one. Because that person just took themselves out of the commodity and became somebody whose frequency you valued.
So incredible. And do you think that also I like to call it the spiral of expansion of life. And I think such a big part of human nature is that we are constantly expanding. It's like that balance of being present and grateful for what you have, but always, seeing what's next. How do you see at this level where you are coaching such high level ticket sales and coaches, what does it look like for them? Like, do you think that it is that kind of situation where it's like time and time again, like they're getting, bigger goals and trying to get bigger? Or what does that look like when it's at that level, when you see people like they're living in a certain place and then they're ready for that next expansion?
Yeah, first of all, we don't do goals because I find goals are too masculine, and all that does is it just traps you into I have to, and what if I don't? And then it just sabotages the abundance frequency to begin with. Instead, what we do is vision. So
Mm,
the way that I teach that is 100% possible 100% of the time. So in the quantum field, every possibility that's in existence already is. It already has occurred. It just sits there outside of linear time. You are in a specific timeline, in a specific spot in that timeline where you are having specific experience. At some point, your own energetics will build up to like, okay, I'm done like enjoying this step. I've learned whatever it is here. And now like I'm craving more. I want something. Whatever that is, that means you're now ready to move to whatever the next level is. So it's not mental. It's not like I should be ahead, because for a lot of people, maybe you shouldn't, because you still need to integrate where you are. But let's just say when you actually have handled what you have and now you feel the drive to go somewhere, what the first thing I would do with my clients is let's dream it up. Let's do the vision thing. So envisioning, like forget your current life, for example, for now, and envision what would it be like, oh, maybe you're in 2 or 3 presentations or podcasts every week. Maybe you are have a different haircut. Maybe you speak about this topic more out of the things you normally talk about than the ones that currently you speak about. Maybe you're now speaking less about it. Maybe you wear different underwear. Maybe you gave up coffee. Maybe you now looking at your bank account and there's, let's say, 100,000 a month of income coming in when right now it's maybe 50,000. So it's like doubled. So we don't try to figure out how to get there because that's goal setting. Instead, we just tune into what it actually is if you're already there. That's the conscious future methodology. Once you do that, then I would tell my client to embody that for a moment. Just like play pretend like little kids, I'm a princess, and they fully believe that they are a princess in that moment. The same thing. So, okay, I'm somebody who, let's say right now brings, so like for your clients, maybe it's 10,000 a month. Okay, so 10,000 a month is just like, that's my normal income. And how many clients do I have? I don't seem to have that many clients, but I seem to be able to make that income. So, okay, that probably means I'm charging more. How am I feeling? I'm very confident. Like I kind of, no worries about like who I am and what I'm delivering. What is my presentation out into the world? Oh, let's say I like to speak and I see myself in a lot of videos, and it seems like my Instagram account is like really active. There's a lot of reels in there. Okay, so we really do like a full map of that down to like what bra and underwear you're wearing and what kind of food you're eating. And maybe like right now you rush into your kitchen to grab your cup of tea and then you run out and then you tune in and oh, she just walks in like a queen into the kitchen. She makes her tea and then she sits down and looks out the window for 5 minutes and then she goes back to her office. Like all the little things, the most like whatever you think maybe not even relevant, everything. Once you have that, what you want to do next is look for the discrepancy. So now that you just wore the outfit of your future, shift that out for a second and go back to you, current you now. Whoa, I'm like nervous, I'm freaked out, I'm stressed, I'm pushing, my spine just got tight or my neck got tight or, like whatever it is. Maybe you start clenching your teeth, your bra is not comfortable or like whatever it is, like little things. Or maybe you're too hopped up on coffee because you had too many, like something. Okay, wear her back, the future you. What's the discrepancy? What's the difference? So you start noticing like, oh, she's so much calmer. I'm not. Her neck is more relaxed. Mine is not. She's sitting like her hips is this way and mine are like this. Like all the little stuff. And then like take 60 seconds. Like we're not saying like long, but just notice these things. You want to then start implementing that change. So now instead of a goal setting of trying to get there, because anytime you try to get somewhere, you never actually get there because the whole point of trying implies you're in a linear time. If you want quantum leap, that's like a piece of paper with 2 dots. You can draw a line straight. So that would be step by step, trying to get to the dot 2 versus bending the paper and 2 dots become 1. So now you're not trying to get anywhere, you just are. And the only way to get to that place is to implement little changes that you notice were the discrepancy. So maybe you buy yourself a different bra. Maybe you stop having the coffee. Maybe you walk into kitchen a little bit slower. Like you start with things that you can change. Maybe you can't figure out like how she has 10 grand coming into her account, but you can figure out how to buy a different bra. Like do something that you can do and start feeling as if you're her as much as possible. You would notice that maybe you respond to an email differently. Like how would she respond to this email? Would she actually respond or would she react? Because maybe you're reacting. You're like, oh, I need to write back to this person. Like I'm worried about that they're gonna like cancel or something. How would she do it? Would she react like that? Or maybe she would graciously respond. So would she do it right now or would she do it an hour later and get this emotional energy flowing through her before she does that? And so on, little things like that. The more you do that, it literally takes like 2 weeks. If you consistent, if you like total badass unicorn that says, I'm gonna do it like totally, I'm gonna live as her like every second as much as possible. I'm going to dedicate myself to that. 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, your life starts changing. Like miracles start happening. You're like, I don't even know how that's happened. Somebody just emailed me. Somebody just scheduled a sales call and bought without even any objections. Like, oh my God, I just somehow blurted out the price of my program is 5,000 when before it was 3. And I don't know how the 2,000 raise happened, but apparently it's now 5,000. Like little stuff like that starts happening. And if you keep trusting and just dedicated to keeping that shift happening, literally within like few weeks, you can change your whole life. So this is what I do with my clients.
So incredible. Every single moment. I mean, the analogy you gave with the paper is it's so incredible. And I feel like when in my work, I love calling it just like the mindful awareness and redirection, right? Because I think at the beginning it's like your old self is going to be trying to pull you in those first 2 weeks, and it's just that consistency where I think a lot of people where they get it wrong is that they'll try for a week and then they'll get frustrated and then they'll revert back because they get tired of it. But I think what you're
Yeah.
saying right now is just the power of just hold in there, and then eventually it just becomes who you are.
Yeah, the
So
key is play. The key here is
play,
play.
play.
Because as soon as you start to make that into I have to, then all the fears will come up and say, but who are you to? Or this will never work. Or why would they buy this? Or like whatever your story is. And your job is to say, maybe I don't even need to challenge those stories. Fine, whatever it is that my mind is telling me. But for now, I'm just going to be like a kid that's still wearing the princess outfit. Damn it, the crown is just going to be on for 2 weeks. And you just keep that on as a play pretend. But, women are great at pretending. But when you're pretending, what you're really doing, you're embodying frequency. That's what little kids do when they like hopping on a stick and they saying, I'm on a horse. Well, in his mind or her mind, she's literally riding a horse. That's because energetically, she's embodying the experience of riding the horse. She doesn't care that it's a stick. We just grown-ups, we will say, well, will feel super silly if I ride a stick because I know it's a stick. But little kid doesn't have that question. She just like, I'm going to embody the horse because there's the horse here. So you need to do the play thing and don't try to challenge the bad voices. Just sort of say like, yeah, sure, maybe that's even true. Maybe I have no idea how to sell $10,000 program, but I'm just going to pretend that it's happening. And the more you do that, the more things will come your world. Maybe you will actually see like a coach that needs to be your coach. Maybe you realize, oh my God, this is the thing that this person said. I don't know how to do that. I need to figure out how to market position myself. I need to figure out where in my messaging I'm not articulating the value. Great. Like the right person just came to you when maybe before you would have had to go on like 3 months looking for it. Instead, the right person is just right there. Maybe somebody recommends you the right person. So it's not always that you will get there on your own steam, like by doing. It's follow through on the signs that you're getting, but maintain the frequency that you're pretending that you're holding in your universe, in your body.
So incredible. The way that you express these things are so refreshing and so grounded, and it just makes so much sense in my brain. What do you think is the power of like all this work? I'm assuming is it's just magnetic energy, right? And it's also the power of receiving. I think it was you might be talking as well. Like I'd love to hear your thoughts on the power of receiving and how so often it's not about like doing it harder or more effort or more work, but rather letting go of the parts of yourself that are holding it, that are pushing it away, and just allowing yourself to receive it. So I don't know if you have any
Well,
thoughts
yeah,
about
first
that.
of all, I would say that universe does not speak English, it speaks frequency. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter whatever you think up, whatever affirmations you say, It matters what frequency you're actually embodying. So if you're internally embodying a freak out and I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy, while you're saying I'm awesome, and they should pay me 10 grand, universe doesn't hear that. It just hears that, oh, okay, she doesn't believe that she can hold 10 grand, so I'm not going to send her the client for that. So we always want to go back to that. Also, the magnetic part that you mentioned, we are either attracting or repulsing. We don't have a neutral. This is how energetics work. So that means you're either in a frequency that's pulling towards you something, or you're in a frequency that's pushing away something. Both are required in living our life, right? Because having a good boundaries ability to push something away. Even in the marketing and the messaging, if your message is unclear, you might be attracting, but you would be attracting wrong clients or many of them that are kind of not the right ones. Versus if your message is super clear, you would be attracting the right ones, but at the same time, from the same post or video, repelling the wrong ones. So attracting and repelling are kind of go hand in hand, and self-mastery is what makes that happen. Now, as to what makes one attracting or magnetizing, that's a combination of you holding your own power, you being able to trust yourself, and you not depending on anything external. So if you're in a place where like, I don't know what my power is, or you're constantly minimizing it to fit in, well, then you're naturally repellent. So people come to you, might not see you. You might create great post videos or have a great program, but nobody would buy. Not because there's something wrong with you or the program, but because you simply haven't shown them that you have power. And power, think of it just like voltage, like literally power. Like, are you plugged into the universe or are you hiding? So if you plugged in, that would be like, I trust what will come out of my mouth. I don't have anything scripted. I just talk and I know that that would happen. That's how I was able to charge money for working with clients at 14 years old. I mean, I was a kid and I had grown up clients. That's because I didn't always know what would happen. I didn't have any plan. I just trusted that if that soul brought that human to me, there is a reason. Universe has a plan. So all I need to do is show up, be in integrity, be present, really listen, and then whatever will come out of me will be right. And sometimes I would say things that I don't even know why I'm saying them. Like to me, it's like not really logical or fit into what the person was asking. And they would start crying, going like, oh my God, this is so true, and blah, blah, blah. Like, because I'm hitting the right spot because I got out of the way. So part of being a really good attractor is being able to get out of the way of your own power. And then the more confidence you have, the more naturally people will gravitate towards you. Confidence is extremely attractive. Like confidence is something that pretty much every human being wants. Confidence goes with independence. That's why I said that you cannot be somebody who wants to fit in if you want to lead. Like you either lead or you want to fit in. You cannot have both. So being able to kind of step into, you know what? If they don't like me, that's fine. Because believe me, when you post something or if you're out there and you're known, there's going to be plenty of people who don't like you. And it's okay. You're not here for everybody. But there are going to be some people who say, oh my God, what she said is exactly what I need. I need to find a way to work with her. So our job is to speak to the people with whom we already have soul contracts with. Whatever frequency you hold is for somebody. Universe is a very efficient place. We don't come here for selfish reasons, incarnate in this human body and experience this reality. We come here with something that is for human collective. It's just we got to get ourselves cleaned up in order to fully become the thing we meant to be. But then we are a broadcasting station of the gift. That gift is not just for you, it's for somebody. So if you are not hiding, if you are in your power, if you're out of your own way and the gift shines, there are specific people who already on a soul level contracted with your soul that they need that frequency. So those are your potential clients. Those are the ones you're doing all the promotion, all the presentation, all the marketing for, not for, oh, that they're going to like me, because you really cannot convince somebody who doesn't need your frequency to be your client. And if you do, let's say you're like really awesome at convincing, oh my God, they will be client from hell. So you don't want that. You only want the ones who actually correct frequency. But to get there, you got to be in that frequency and not care about that some other people who don't need that frequency will fall off or maybe even judge you. Because remember, people look through their own filters. When they're judging you, they're not actually judging you. They're probably not even seeing you. They're seeing their own crap. And through that filter is what it's like a dirty glass. Through that, they're seeing you. So they're seeing the dirt on their own glass. And if every time you get upset over that, then you can't lead. So that means you can't show up and actually do your soul work in the world. Never mind get paid for it.
Wow. So incredible. And I think it's also like, if you are repelling people, all that means is it's working, right? Because like if you're repelling
Right.
some people, you got to be repelling, magnetizing other people. A couple of things that came through when you were just saying that is the power of just surrender, right? Like in trust and faith and just knowing that, like, I think so often, I mean, me included for sure, is how much the analytical mind will try to butt in and try to make it more complicated than it needs to be. And I think that what you're saying is really just like, as long as you are just plugged in and connected to the energy of the universe as you're showing up, like, what do you think, how do you think the surrender plays in that and just being able to cultivate that like deep faith and trust that that's the path and that's the way that you're going to get there?
Well, as I said before, that anytime the word trust comes in or the trust issue, you have to start with trusting self, and trusting self happens by following through on your own decisions. So that would be
Mm-hmm,
something as simple as like, okay, I'll reply to this email today.
mm-hmm,
Well, if you're already in your pajamas and the email is not replied, you better go back to your computer, open it up again, and actually reply
mm-hmm.
so that now your energy field says, okay, she's trustworthy.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
because if you do that, then it's guaranteed you're gonna have trust. So that's one thing. Another thing is that faith is actually more about commitment than some sort of a magical, like something would just happen somehow. It's literally commitment. What are you committed to? Are you committed to your vision, to your mission, to the service, or are you committed to your BS? Most people are way more committed to their bullshit. They committed to all the fears, all the excuses, all these things that they don't want to give up the story that they habitually used to. The story that, well, I'm not good enough. Well, it never works for me. Well, I tried that and then they, last minute cancel, or, well, they just don't see me this way. Those are all stories. And 100% possible, 100% of the time. You literally can decide to be somebody else and go be her tomorrow or now. So if somebody, like, let's say, always ignored you or whatever, remember, you're broadcasting frequency. Universe responds to frequency. So if you were, like, let's say, invisible, no matter how much you're posting and showing up and nobody buys, well, you're broadcasting something that's repellent. So instead of saying, oh, I am somebody who is like not visible or not good enough, you just want to go into, okay, what frequency am I broadcasting that they are going away? Am I not owning my power? Am I not saying something that's actually in my heart? And instead of saying whatever it is that they think I should say, and so on. So, commitment to the vision, to the mission, to like whatever's in your heart, whatever this higher thing is, always linked to service. It's not about us. It's about like, how is this benefiting human collective? If you do that, if that's where your commitment arrow is pointing, then it's much easier to trust and to feel faith, because the faith is, well, that's what I'm meant to do. That's the right frequency for me. So as long as I'm keep like refocusing on that frequency, of course it's going to be fine.
So incredible. My question is now, it's just so many, such gold, so many. I cannot wait to re-listen to this episode again and again and again. So how I like to see your higher self, your future self, like I have such a deep belief that your higher self isn't just some made up random like idea of a different version of you, but in reality it's your soul's calling of who you truly are to the core. Like, would you agree with that, where yes, we can wake up tomorrow and become anybody that we want to, but as long as we're following our intuition and our heart, that's leading us to maybe like the truest version of ourselves without all the limits and fears and the doubts and whatnot. I would love to get your thoughts on that, and if you would agree with that or if you have a different opinion on that.
Yeah, it's same concept, but just two layers. So one layer is everything is possible 100% of the time, everything. It just is. But out of that, I mean, you don't come into a lifetime with all of this being easily available. If you think of it like timelines, let's say if you're in timeline number 1, some might be number 222, and another one could be number 3. So like number 3 is easier to jump to than the one that's much further removed. So even though it's all possible, but some things will take more of universal adjustments to make them to be part of your reality. Then the second layer is your soul design. That is how you're meant to be. That is the ultimate lessons. I always look at it like you come in with 2 suitcases. One is what is your lessons, your issues, your karmic patterns, like whatever you need to work through to extract your power from. And the other suitcase is your gifts and your superpowers, how you meant to serve. So those 2 things is kind of what your soul design is. Now that out of all the 100% possibilities, kind of defines it, like makes it a little bit smaller into, okay, that direction. That is the ultimate. So now instead of trying to just randomly pick something, you are installed, like pre-installed with some navigation. And that navigation could be your intuition, it could be your body knowing, it could be never the mind usually, but it's something else. Like you can say your heart knows or whatever. But these different messages that you receive, they are leading you towards being the ultimate you can be within your soul design. So that would be like the truest self, I guess you can say, that you can be.
Wow. So, 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 so great. Um, so as we are reaching closer to the end of the conversation, I would love to hear just a little bit about what wealth energetics is. I know it's such a for you, it's like such a known thing for you, but like a lot of my viewers and people in general might not really understand that. So, how would you describe wealth energetics?
Yeah, wealth energetics means that first of all, it's frequency based instead of mind based, like thought based. It's frequency. And second, that you are choosing to step into the energy of abundance permanently. So anything you do could be done from the energy of abundance or energy of scarcity. Wealth energetics means that there is always syntropic flow. Syntropy is like a continuous flow, like a never-ending sort of pathway. So that means anytime you put something out, something comes back to you. If you were not open to receive that, you just broke the wealth energetics. So even though you did something great, if you did not receive whatever reciprocation was, you actually just stepped into scarcity energetics because you said, well, who am I to? Or, well, it's okay. Well, no, you don't need to, didn't take the compliment and so on. So receiving is part of like, if you put something out, something comes back in. Also, if you are doing just regular mundane tasks, whatever they might be, are you in an energy where you are in a possibilities field? So that 100% possible, 100% of the time quantum field? Or are you in, I don't know if this could work for me. There's only like few people and I have to find them. Or if this person doesn't sign up, I don't make the whatever my goal was for this month and so on. That's scarcity. So what are you embodying when you are putting your energy out? Because you can post something with the energy of there is the right person who needs to read this post. Even if it's one person, they would read it, their life would change, they will come to me and pay me $10,000. Awesome. I don't need to know who the person is and how they're going to find it. There. Now, will that person read that post now? Maybe, but maybe they will read it 3 months from now somewhere on your social media and then show up on your sales call and say, oh my God, that post I read, it just popped in my feed and I knew I had to talk with you because you didn't limit it versus saying, I'm going to post this and I hope somebody responds and I hope I'm going to get many likes. And, and then, oh, okay, I'm looking and nobody seems to commenting or only 3 comments and, oh, nobody scheduled a call. Well, you just switch from wealth energetics to scarcity energetics. So that's wealth energetics is being in this syntropic flow. It's knowing that everything is possible, even if you don't know how. Like the how part is up to God, up to universe. That's not up to you. You just need to know what is it you want and then follow through on your actions. So you have self-trust and then universe follows the frequency you're broadcasting.
So incredible. What would be your definition of sovereign individuality?
Independent and based on your soul design. So sovereign to me, it's like I have a clear boundary, I have my own authority, and it's not defined by anybody else.
Yeah.
So it's not like what my parents told me I should be. It's not whatever the tribal field tells me is needed of me. It's what I decide and my integrity is the right thing in alignment with the higher power. So that's how I would define it.
Amazing. And I know you were mentioning how you can use play as the catalyst to being able to immerse yourself into that energy. I know it's different than like the rest of your coaching business or whatever, but do you still infuse the energy of play and lightness into all the rest of your business in the work that you do?
Not necessarily in this way. I look
Yeah.
at it more like it's the creative flow. So
Yeah.
I don't use the word play so much. That's more of an explanation. But
Yeah.
in everything that I do, I always energy code what I do because I believe that the energy frequency is just as important as the words. So
Yeah.
when people work with me, and let's say they're watching my recorded trainings or something, they always getting the frequency of it too. And the main objective is to always get you into that wealth energetics where everything is possible. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you maintain that, then you're naturally playful. That's where the energy naturally is lighter. Heaviness comes from friction. Friction comes from conflicting intentions. And conflicting intentions only come from like over here, I want to create my, 6-figure, 7-figure empire. And over here, I'm terrified to be visible. Like, well, yeah, you're going to have
Mm-hmm.
heaviness because you're going to have friction.
Yeah.
But if you resolve that internal friction and you kind of like choose to go in, and that's where the play can come in, to just like play pretend, even if the negative voices are telling you something, but you kind of like don't listen to them, don't trust them, don't believe them. You're just like, yeah, okay, it's a story from the past, I got it, but I'm still going to choose to
Yeah.
be in this frequency. The more you do that, the more you lighten up, in a sense, because it resolves the
Mm-hmm.
friction.
Mm. And do you think that there's power in infusing just intention, period, in every morning and every like situation in your life? Like if you're
Yeah,
about to get a
everything is
call.
intention anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
to me, intention is linked to alignment and the follow through. So
Mm.
intention is commitment.
Yeah.
If you think of it from that angle, then intention is not like, oh, I'm going to intend by, like, that's tuning in, that's envisioning and hoping and wishing. That's not
Yeah.
intention. Intention is, I hold that line and my willpower is fully aligned with that. I'm going to maintain that. So in this case, your willpower is helping you not to believe the negative voices, not necessarily to
Mm.
push you to do something that's not aligned. You don't have to work hard. You just have to be aligned and then
Yeah.
work when needed. But you use your willpower to, no, I'm not listening to you. No, I know you're telling me I'm not good enough. I heard you. I know what you're coming from. No, not interested because I'm choosing this other timeline. So you're using your inner commitment correctly. That's intention.
Mm-hmm. Incredible. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom. I feel so honored to be able to have this conversation with you. I love to end all of my interviews by asking my guests if they have a word of the year that they have been taking as an intention for the word. I don't know if you have one or if you could think of one. That's my usual
Expansion.
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 Beautiful.
Yeah, I always look at it like I help my clients expand what they think is possible
Yeah.
for them
So true.
into like true possibility.
Yeah.
So that's actually part of like the gift that I want to give you guys is expandyourwealthcapacity.com. That is the mini
Mm,
series that's going to help you understand how to expand you and your wealth
amazing.
capacity to hold more wealth. Literally, like I lay it out for you if you're a spiritual coach and you're trying to figure out like, how do I get to this thing that Eugenia was just talking about, when it's ease, when it's aligned, where clients come and just purchase something for $10,000, like how does it even happen? It's all explained in there. So go
Mm,
watch the videos. It will show you so clearly where you might be needing help or what you might be doing incorrectly that needs to change if you want to get to that level.
incredible. Thank you so much for that gift. Is there anywhere else that you want to guide my listeners to work with you or contact you or find you anywhere else? Or should
Well,
we just
my
go to
book,
that?
Wealth by Soul Design, that might be a good point for you guys to stop on and check out what I do. That's my entire methodology. So if the videos in the mini series in Expand Your Wealth Capacity are kind of abridged version to the point. So if you're the type of person that just wants like the gist, that would give you the gist. But if you want to like literally understand, how do I implement that? Like what are the steps that she's talking about? Like the all actual layout, then wealthbysouldesign.com. If you go there,
Amazing.
you can purchase my book and you can see all the things laid out. Plus, there's tons of bonuses there too. So you can also get it on Amazon, but then you don't get bonuses.
Incredible. Well, again, thank you so much. This has been such a treat. I feel so honored. This has been incredible. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and for stopping by and hanging out in the meadow.
Oh, thank you very much. It was so much fun. And I hope that this is useful for your clients and for your audience and for everybody here that's going to expand themselves by what I was bringing through energetically as well.
Definitely. This one podcast interview is going to be a leap for a big shift for many people. Thank you.